I'm talking about of Alexander Crummell from The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois. Alexander Crummell. He's talking about a young man that was basically before his time, a brilliant man. Um, if he had been born earlier, he'd been a slave. If he had been born later, he would have been a great leader. But he was born at a time where he was basically allowed to be educated, but to a point. Educated, but to a point, right? And I'm reading, it says, he heard the hateful clank of their chains, he felt their cringe and grovel, and there rose within him a protest and a prophecy. So, like, he knew his history, he knew where he came from, he knew he came from slaves, and but he was such a brilliant child, and now he wants to go and become an Episcopal priest. Of course, those were the leaders of the day. These are the 1800s, and they were like, the General Theological Seminary of the Episcopal Church cannot admit a Negro. Yeah, see. Yeah, cannot. So they'll educate you as children, they'll educate you as even teenagers, but when you start to try to grow and go higher, then that's where it ceases. That's where it ceased for him, and people in these days. And what bothered him the most is they basically said, you know, you're not capable. We will not cast our pearls to swine. Black people are not capable of higher education. Um, that's what bothered him the most. He said the hatred did not bother him, the depression did not bother him. What bothered him the most was the fact that this country feels or felt that African Americans are not capable. It's the doubt, he says, that's the biggest the problem. And so he kept fighting. He was a fighter. Alexander Crummell was a fighter. He kept fighting, and they kept resisting to the point where they said this. This is what they said. This is powerful. We will receive you into the diocese under one condition, that no Negro priest can sit in my church convention, and no Negro church can ask for representation. So basically, we'll receive you. You can give us your money, but you will not be represented, and you're not allowed to integrate. And he resisted that to the point where he just left the country and moved to Africa. This is Alexander Crummell, and I feel like W.E.B. Du Bois is prophesying for his own self, because Dr. Du Bois is a Harvard educated man, but he also was resisted heavily in his time. Remember, Dr. Du Bois is the predecessor for Dr. Martin Luther King. Like, these are this this is the textbooks that Dr. King was reading. Um, Dr. Du Bois had also given up on America. He moved to Ghana. He died the night before the March on Washington, just to give you a little perspective of the times. And Dr. Crummell was somebody that Dr. Du Bois looked up to. And he basically said, no, I'm not. And he started his own church, and he struggled through life in America and left America and went to Ghana. And truthfully, it tells me a lot. It tells me that the people who succeeded at that time would have had to succumb to that. And so I honor Dr. Du Bois. I honor Dr. Crummell or Alexander Crummell, I don't think he's a doctor, for resisting the need to integrate without representation. And I feel like even now in these days, it's similar. I feel like there's a underpinning of doubt of the African American, uh, and the need for some to sell out literally and say, okay, we will integrate without representation. I'll do whatever you want. And Dr. Dubois is telling us to resist that. No integration without representation. Here's another thing that really struck out to me. He said he never faltered, he seldom complained, he simply worked, inspiring the young, rebuking the old, helping the weak, guiding the strong. And I feel like once again, Dr. Dubois took on that mantle to do the same. Um, Lastly, his name today in this broad land means little and comes to 50 million ears laden with no incense of memory or emulation. And herein lies the tragedy of the age. This is what Dr. Du Bois says the tragedy of his age is not that men are poor, because all men have experienced poverty, not that men are wicked, like who is good? Nobody's perfect. Not that men are ignorant, like what is truth? But that men know little of men. Men know so little of men. People make assumptions of people. They doubt us. They have no idea our capabilities as African Americans. And it feels like in Dr. Dubois' time and even today, people refuse to know. There is still doubt that we can succeed in higher education. But the problem in America, I feel right now, is that they've no longer tried to say anything to make to for say that they doubt us. They have just created ways to get us to doubt ourselves. We now choose not to read. Before, they forced us, they would kill us if we would read. Now we choose not to read. Before, they would remove us from higher education opportunities. Now they tell us that higher education is a scam. They have gone away from doubting us to getting us to doubt ourselves, and that must stop. Souls of Black folk, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, you guys have a great morning.